Let's count them down.
We all know Ryan Reynolds for his scripted charm, but sometimes he's at his best when he is unintentionally funny. This Ryan is easily one of our top 2 favorite Ryans, and it's easy to see why. Ever since he broke onto the big screen, he has constantly charmed us with his dry wit and scene-stealing performances. What has helped us really endear ourselves to the lovable Canadian is his bloopers and gaffes during filming, and it is constant, quick improvisation that makes him one of the funniest men in Hollywood. In this video, we'll look at some of Reynolds' best on-screen bloopers, from his constant gaffes as a superhero to committing movie blasphemy by making fun of Betty White. These are some of our favorite moments.
And we all know how this turned out.
When Deadpool came out, it felt that Hollywood had finally found what to do with Ryan Reynolds. Reynolds had been championing himself for the part for years, with him playing the character in the ill-fated X-Men origins. So when the movie was finally released, it was clear to see that Reynolds was the perfect fit to play the merc with the mouth.
Oh, do you like what you see?
The reason that the movie was such a success is that it allowed Reynolds free reign and had a great deal of creative control. So much so that the movie began to rely heavily on Reynolds' improvisation as he continually fired off jokes and goofs.
You're gonna leave me all alone here with less angry Rosie O'Donnell?
Unfortunately, a movie can only use one take, meaning that there are a ton of outtakes and unused lines out there. Some of the best are when he's allowed to be at his most ruthless, firing off insult after insult. One of the greatest moments, though, comes when he makes an appearance at Charles Xavier's mansion and riffs on how happy he is to join the team.
Can't wait to give Beast a nice little belly rub. It's gonna be great.
It's safe to say that Reynolds is one of the best improvisers out there. While Reynolds might be known best for his raunchy comedies, it wasn't too long ago that he was playing a heartthrob in a rom-com, such as the 2009 movie The Proposal. The movie centers on a New York editor, Margaret, played by Sandra Bullock, and convinces her assistant, Andrew, played by Reynolds, to marry her so she doesn't get deported back to her native Canada. But as rom-coms usually do, the movie takes a twist as the couple eventually become smitten for each other. While it is a more formulaic romance movie, that doesn't mean Reynolds didn't have fun on set. Reynolds constantly kept cracking up his co-stars, leaving them in stitches with his humor and bloopers.
It takes two to make a thing go right.
However, the best moment came at the end of the movie, when Reynolds embraces Bullock in the legend that is Betty White. As White goes in for the hug, Reynolds screams out, "My nipple! She's got my nipple!"
Ow!
While it's unclear whether Reynolds was just cracking a joke or White did seize the opportunity to grab his nipple, the moment is absolute gold and a classic movie blooper. While Reynolds is known for his moments of improvisation, now and then he has to do some scripted dialogue, but as any actor will tell you, it's not easy learning all those lines, something which Reynolds struggled with in the 2011 body swap movie The Change-Up. The movie, which centers around two friends who switch bodies to experience the other one's life, in one scene, Reynolds has a complete brain malfunction and forgets his lines. He tries to stay in character as long as he can, but eventually cracks, admitting to co-star Jason Bateman that he has no idea what he's doing. Bateman, who initially seemed to think the two were improvising, seems to find the whole thing amusing watching his co-star struggle with the scene, because even when he screws up, he manages to make it charming. While Blade Trinity may not go down as the best in the series, one thing it did have in its favor was its inclusion of Ryan Reynolds. It had many issues behind the scenes, chiefly surrounding its star Wesley Snipes, who played the titular character. In fact, things got so hostile between Snipes and director David Goyer that Snipes refused to speak to him. This probably meant that Goyer was a lot more lenient with the stars who actually turned up, as he gave Ryan Reynolds space to riff and do what he does best. One of the best moments of this is when Goyer let Reynolds improvise his character's taste in music, and the jokes he fires off are priceless.
Me? I'm more of a Clay Aiken fan. I'm more of a Kenny G fan myself, you know? I'm more of a Don Johnson fan. A lot of people don't know he recorded an album.
These bloopers serve as a silver lining in an otherwise doomed movie and really help to bring Reynolds to the main stage. Poo jokes, they're always funny, right? When toilet humor is funny, sometimes you just can't help but laugh. That's what happened in the 2005 rom-com movie Just Friends, where Reynolds tries to get through a line about defecating himself, but just can't get himself through the line, causing him and his co-star Amy Smart to laugh harder every time.
I'm gonna crap my pants.
The more Reynolds says the line, the less they can keep their cool, with Reynolds' intonation and reaction making this blooper absolutely side-splitting. Another great gaffe comes later on in the movie when Reynolds is in church and is ridiculed by the members. He can barely keep his composure, causing himself and his co-stars to burst out laughing. Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson are a match made in heaven. And that's what the producers of The Hitman's Bodyguard thought as well. The action comedy follows a bodyguard, played by Reynolds, who must protect a convicted hitman and mortal enemy, Sam Jackson, to the International Criminal Court where he's to testify. And the two shine together along with Salma Hayek, and the chemistry is clear for everyone to see. This was even more apparent in the bloopers, which for some are even funnier than the movie itself, even if it just involves angrily clapping at a nun. Some of the best bloopers come from their two main leads riffing in the car. One of the best riffs is when Reynolds tells Jackson he wants to go to Compton.
That sounds nice. Good place to summer.
But Reynolds eventually can't keep the scene going, breaking out of character in another fit of giggles. It's a wonder the guy gets any work done. While Reynolds has been in strange films, the premise of his movie R.I.P.D. might just be the strangest. The action comedy takes place in the afterlife, with Reynolds being paired up with the dude himself, Jeff Bridges, with the two enlisted into a group of deceased police officers to fight against the renegade ghosts. Yeah, it's a weird premise, but the two seem to have a blast filming it, along with their fellow co-star Kevin Bacon. The trio were constantly goofing around together, whether that is hashing up their lines, riffing with one another, or having fun with a police badge. But the best moments came with what should have been a routine take: pretending to drive. Just like in Hitman's Bodyguard, Reynolds' best bloopers come when he's messing around with his co-stars in the car, as they make what should have been a simple take a great bit of fun. What is it with Reynolds and cars? While we all know Reynolds as Deadpool, it's hard to remember him playing any other superhero, but remember, we do. As we all know, Reynolds played Hal Jordan, aka Green Lantern, in the critically ridiculed movie adaptation. While the movie was poorly received by fans and critics alike, it showed that Reynolds had the draw to helm a superhero flick by himself. While Reynolds' on-screen antics were somewhat watered down in relation to his other roles, he was still given the chance to improvise and add that Reynolds flair to the character. This was most noticeable with his co-star and now wife, Blake Lively. The duo's chemistry popped from the get-go, and it wasn't hard to believe that they were a couple. The film is at its best, which isn't saying too much, when they are riffing on one another, and it's in these moments that we get some gold. While the movie may not go down with legend, Reynolds and Lively's real-life prank war continues to amuse everyone online, so I guess we have Green Lantern to thank for that. If The Rock and Jason Statham smashing up buildings and vehicles wasn't entertaining enough, adding Ryan Reynolds to the mix certainly was.
Imagine that.
When director Leach was deciding what to do with the scene, filled with boring exposition focusing around the CIA agent Locke, he thought about how he could make it more entertaining and asked Reynolds to come on board. Reynolds accepted and even reworked the dialogue, doing what he does best, filling it with jokes.
You look like a young Shirley Temple.
Pop culture references.
Can you believe that Game of Thrones ending?
And creating a quasi-obsession with The Rock's character Hobbs, even going as far as sharing the same ink.
Do you remember what I told you in Rwanda? We are not
We're best friends
at all.
Turns out Reynolds can light up almost any scene.
Let's be positive, just like my life outlook.
What's better than one serving of Deadpool? Two servings of Deadpool. After the release and popularity of the first movie, Fox rushed to make a sequel, filling it with bigger gags, stunts, visuals, more jokes that broke the fourth wall, and celebrity cameos. The sequel was a bigger version of the first one, with it raking in over $785 million at the box office and becoming one of the biggest superhero movies of all time. But with bigger jokes and action, that means there are also bigger bloopers. As soon as the blooper reel was uploaded online, it didn't take too long to make its way around the internet, leaving people in stitches, including Reynolds walking on his baby legs, his quick moments of improv, his apparent inability to catch things, him breaking the wall when other actors forget their lines, and of course him forgetting his lines again. The blooper reel is full of laughs and surprising moments, with Reynolds even discovering the hardships of being Professor X. It just reinforces how much of a blast the Deadpool series is, and while it's hard to imagine the character working with family-friendly Disney, fans are eager to see a third Deadpool or an X-Force movie for the bloopers alone. What was your favorite blooper? Do you want there to be a Deadpool 3? What role would you love to see Reynolds play next? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to Screen Rant for more great content.